These have definitely not been the smallest set of headphones that I've ever reviewed, because these are absolutely huge. Now, I did think that these would originally be some sort of open back headphones when I first saw them, but they're not. They're closed backs. In fact, these are, well, if you want to look like Princess Leia and walk around in an airport, you can do that. In fact, that's one of the things I did. I did take this on a flight recently to see how exactly it would fare in a real world setting. In my original review, I did say that these are perfect for sitting at home and enjoying music, but the fact that it had active noise cancelling meant I had to check and see how it functioned on a plane. So I'm happy to say that the active noise cancelling, although not the best in the industry, is actually pretty good. It cuts out the noise that it has to. The engine droning noises aren't as apparent as they should be when the active noise cancelling is on. Now, I did get a lot of looks while I was wearing this, because I mean, look at these. These aren't exactly the most subtle set of headphones out there. They are big, they are loud, especially if you get the white one. You can get this in black as well. Let me just set these down here. You can get these in a black color as well, so those won't be as loud as these are. But despite the size of it, these are very comfortable and they're not as heavy as they look. I'd say that these are as light as the Sony XM4s that are behind me. They're very similar. In fact, I've been meaning to do a comparison between the two, but I just haven't gotten down to doing it. But overall, I really do like how this sits on my head. It's got a nice clamping force. It is comfortable. The ear pads in particular are they're like pillows. They're really soft. And the only issue I've had with these, like I do with most headphones, is the material they use doesn't breathe very well in summer. So if you're not in an air-conditioned room, these are going to make your ears feel very hot and you will end up sweating. Overall, on a build front, it's fared pretty well. To be very honest, I've not really taken it out much because it's a huge set of headphones. I have used it on and off in my studio for editing or even generally music listening, and it's not really gotten it's not started creaking like some other headphones have. In fact, the Sony XM4s that I have started creaking maybe 7 months into owning them. With similar use that I've put these through, this is still holding pretty strong. It's not making any weird noises while I swivel it or bend the headband in any way. The ANC, like I mentioned, worked perfectly well on the aircraft. It didn't really cause any problems for me. Now, if you're obsessed with having the latest in technology and cutting out the maximum noise, obviously you can head towards what Sony is doing. Sony is doing a terrific job with active noise cancelling headphones with the XM4 and XM5 series, which I haven't got my hands on yet, but I hope to at some point. This is a big reason, I think, why the Yamaha hasn't focused too much on ANCs. Every set of headphones that has ANC does compromise the sound to a certain extent. Every set, whether it's wireless earphones or headphones. And I think if they made the ANC more aggressive, that's more of a load on the driver. So I'm just speculating here, but the ANC works perfectly fine. Anybody who says that it's not good enough, I'm sure it's a personal preference, and likewise I think it does a good enough job, because once the ANC is on and you're consuming any media on an aircraft, be it audio or even video, the music or audio coming through is loud enough to start, sitting slightly over the engine droning noises that are bleeding in. And it's usually the higher frequencies of the engine that are bleeding in. The lower rumbles, this eliminates very well. On a feature front, there's not much going on for this. It does have tactile buttons, which I quite like. There's none of that touch control nonsense, which may or may not work. This is straight and to the point with the tactile buttons. You can feel and hear the tactile click whenever you are interacting with these, and I just generally prefer it over the touch controls. The app that they have is honestly one of the most basic ones I've seen, because you can toggle between the listening care, I think the automatic timer on and off, and maybe the ANC modes, and check to see if there's a firmware upgrade. That's about it, which is nice to a certain extent, because Yamaha doesn't want you getting absorbed into an app and playing with all gimmicks. It's just set what you want to set and get back to consuming your media, be it audio or video. So I do like that approach. It's simple and to the point, and I haven't really found myself missing any features because this has whatever it really needs. Moving on to a sound front, I have reviewed a whole lot of other Yamaha products, and this is the first one that really separated itself from the others, because Yamaha does have this obsession with trueness of sound, and all the other products have had a nice balanced approach in delivering their overall sound. The bass is never too big, the highs are never too accentuated, and the mids have always been perfectly rounded. This, when I first put it on, it was just more about the heaviness in bass. In fact, I was surprised to hear the amount of bass that this produced, because I wasn't expecting it, for one. And honestly, it sounded to me like what Bose was trying to do a few decades ago. They wanted to be heavy in the bass. So much so, I put on my Bose QC35s just to compare them. And the Bose QC35 seemed really thin compared to this. It was completely anemic compared to this. And just for reference, I did put on the Sony XM4 also to compare with this, to see how both of these handle their bass. And honestly, the Yamaha it won that trophy for being the heaviest in the bass department. But the thing is, it doesn't handle it like it's trying to be bloated. It handles it in a more effortless manner, where it's almost as if they've tuned the driver to be able to take advantage of the resonance within the ear cup. So it's just not hard power. There is some acoustic reinforcement going on there. So it does sound a little more natural than the other headphones that I've compared it to. And at the same time, it's completely effortless. It's full-bodied, it's heavy, and it is a lot of fun to listen to. The mids and highs come to you also in an effortless manner, but the amount of detail in these is nice. The highs are sharp yet supple enough. It doesn't hurt the ear, and the mids are detailed well enough, and even have a nice rounded mid-range, lower mid-range. So if you do want to know a lot more about the sound, I do get into a lot more detail in my in-depth review about this, which I'll link down in the description below. When listening to some higher res audio via Bluetooth, I did find myself missing a lot of detail. And it's bound to happen when you listen to anything wireless. There's bound to be a certain bottleneck there. So I did try and plug this into my high resolution desk setup, because it does claim to be a high res set of headphones, because you can plug it in and feed it that much more data. And I'm happy to say that when you do that, when it is plugged into a high res setup via its cable, there is a lot more data that can transfer through via the drivers within these headphones. So it is capable of handling better overall audio clarity, better detail recovery, but if you plan on using this wirelessly, you're bound to have a compromise there. So overall, would I still recommend these headphones after all this time? Well, honestly speaking, it's a very fun sounding set of headphones. The bass, I think, can be a little too over enthusiastic for my taste. I'm not too much of a fan of big bass like this is, but it does it right. It's not overly bloated like some headphones can be. It is kind of controlled, but it is big. It is definitely quite big when it comes to listening to especially electronic dance music. And of course, yes, I would definitely recommend this after all this time. So I'm not too sure of how much it costs right now, because the prices keep fluctuating depending on when you're watching this video. So at the time of recording this video, I will throw the price up over here just so you know generally how much it does cost, and I'll leave the link down in the description below as well. And of course, if you would like to see a demo as to how the ANC functions, and also listen to a call demo to see how nice the microphone is, to see how your tonal quality carries over to your recipients, I leave the in-depth review down in the description, because I get into a lot more detail about these headphones in that review in particular. So there you have it. This has been my long-term report on the Yamaha E700A, and I hope you've gotten a better understanding of these headphones if you're thinking about buying them. If you would like to support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning in to Paul's POV for some sound advice.